On this page, you can set a custom banner that's going to be shown above your form headings and your form and your button. And then you can set a heading that's shown above your forms or just above your button if you're not using a form. And you have a heading 1 and a heading 2. So the heading 1 is just bigger and bolder. Heading 2 is just smaller text. Then you've got a button image URL. You can set a URL for a button there. And then you can set CSS code for a button here. Make sure that when you set the button image URL that you don't have the CSS code box filled and vice versa. You can only use one of these two. So these two boxes here, button image URL and CSS code for custom button, you can only have the content in one of those boxes for this to work properly. If you have it in both boxes, it's just going to display our default button. So we'll start at the top with the banner image URL right here. So if you want to have a banner, what you want to do is just go to Google and just do a search on Google. You want to go to Google and then do a search and then select images. And what I recommend doing is just doing the name of your company and then banner, and then anything else you want to be, a name of that banner, anything you can think of that would be for your company. And then just find a banner that looks good, that doesn't have a lot of white outside edges. And then just like this one, if you look, it's got these gray and white boxes in the back. That means it's a transparent image. So I'm just going to right click on that, copy image URL, and I'm going to paste that into this first box right here, and that's going to set my banner. Now if you do find an image that's really big, it doesn't matter because our system will automatically resize that down to 780 pixels wide, which is the perfect size for that page. If it's smaller than that, it's going to stay smaller. So it's not going to blow up a small image and make it look bad either. Okay, so for the offer headings, you just want to say something that's going to motivate people to either click on your button or fill out your form. Or you can just leave these off entirely if you want. But I usually like to have a heading there that just motivates people to click on the button or fill out my form. So the first one, heading 1, that's just a bigger and bolder heading, and then heading 2 is going to be smaller text under that. So I've put in text for both of those. And then for my button image URL, right here, button image URL, this is where you can use a URL to a picture of a button and replace the button that's on the page with that. So just be careful about using other people's buttons. Maybe if somebody's created a button for your company, just ask their permission first, make sure it's okay with them if you use it on your page. And if not, then just create your own custom button. I mean, it only takes like a couple minutes. I'll show you how to do it in just a minute. But I also have some buttons that I've created for you. I'm not a graphic artist, so these buttons don't look the best, but I mean, they do the trick. So, if you wanted to use one of these buttons, just select the URL for that and then copy it, do Control-C to copy it, go in your system and paste that into the box. And then you can just press enter in any of these boxes when you're ready to see how your page looks. So you can see I've got the banner here, and then I've got my headings here, and then I've just got my button. And if I enabled my forms, I would also have my forms above the button. But since I don't, when people click on my button, they go to whatever I set my button destination URL. And you can set that in your account. Also under custom headings and button, if you go to the very bottom here, towards the bottom, right here, button destination URL. And that's going to be different than your banner. Your banner is going to be your business URL. So if you go to customize your system and go to Customize Business Information, and you scroll down here to your business URL right here. Whatever URL you have in this box is what's going to be your banner. That's when people click on your banner, they'll go to that URL. And then when people click on your button, they will go to the one you set here for your button destination URL. So you can have those be different if you want, or you can have them be the same. It doesn't matter. And in fact, if you leave this one out, it's just going to go to your business. Okay, so if you want to create your own button with the button generator, then what you can do is just take out your button URL. Make sure you get rid of that. And then go back in there. And then you're going to want to create CSS code. And this button generator creates the CSS code that you need for your button. So just click on that. And I'm going to make this smaller so you can see it. Alright, so you want to leave this set on normal when you start creating your button, because if you mess around with the hover and pressed while you're doing that, it's going to mess it up. So just start with normal, and don't change the text in here because it doesn't matter what the text says here. Just leave it on preview to create your button, and then just change the color you want of your font here. If you want to change the actual font, they've got a few options you can select from. And then you can set about the size that you'll want it to be here. So the size really depends on how much you want to say on your button. If you want to say a lot, you want to make it smaller. If you just have a little bit to say, probably a little bigger. Okay, the next box is the font shadow. So I usually like to set that to black, and then you just play with these settings until it looks good to you. See, if you blur it, it just kind of makes the shadow wider away from the text. Okay, the next thing is the padding. This is just the distance away from the text on your button. I like to just kind of make it even on all sides. Okay, now the border. This is the border that's going to be around your button. It kind of makes it look like it pops out a little bit. And you can set the color of your border here. I usually set mine to black. And then border radius just rounds your corners. You can round your corners as much as you want. Okay, then here for the color, it's where you can change your color to whatever color you want it to be. My business is kind of a pink color, so changing it to that. You can kind of, as you can see, you can kind of blend in two colors if you want. Kind of gives it a nice effect. Now the box inside shadow, this is going to give it more of a pop out effect. So just play with these settings until it looks good to you. And then we've got the box outside shadow. Just kind of makes it look like it pops more above the page a little bit. Okay, and then opacity, that just makes it kind of transparent. If you want, you can go all the way to where it's invisible or all the way to where it's completely visible. And then honestly, I'm not sure what transition does. I haven't played with it enough yet to figure it out. Maybe you can figure it out and let me know. Okay, so now that we've done that, I'm going to choose the hover settings. So what I like to do for the hover settings is just change this to like a slightly different color to where it just, you scroll over it, it gets lighter or gets darker, whatever you want to do. So I'll change that to a slightly different color. You see it gets a little lighter when you scroll over it. That's probably not quite enough. Okay. And then I'll go to the pressed settings, and I'm going to make that darker than it was originally. I'll go all the way to where it's really dark. You can have that look however you want, but that's just what I do. So you scroll over it, and then when you press it, see it goes dark. So once you've done that, created your button exactly the way you want it, just click on Generate Button, and then the only thing you need to copy is this CSS code. So select all, right click and select all, and then do Control-C or right click and copy. And then go into your marketing system, and this is where you're going to paste that CSS code into the box. And again, make sure your button image URL is blank. It won't work if you have both in here. Instead it will just show our default button, and you'll be wondering why it's not working. So make sure you only use one of these two boxes. Can't do them both. And then underneath that, we've got the custom button text. This is where you're going to want to set whatever the button says. Mine just says learn more about SBC. And then again, the button destination URL, this is where people go to when they click on your button. And obviously this doesn't apply if you have forms enabled, because they're just going to fill out your form and go wherever that takes them. So once you've done that, just save the changes and go back to your system and just check it out, make sure it looks the way you want it. Let's see, where did my page go? I lost it. So now if I scroll down here, see I've got my button in here. Scroll over it, it turns lighter. And if I press it, it goes dark. So you also see I've got my form headings here. Headings here, don't have a form on this page yet. And then I've got my banner here. If they click on my banner, it goes to my business link. If they click on my button, it also goes to my business link, but I can have this go to wherever I want them to go. So if that's a different lead capture system or whatever, I can have them be sent to that. So that's all there is to it. And if you have any questions, please go to our Facebook group. Just click on Customize Your System, and right on this main page under the black boxes, got a link right here for you. Click on that, go in our Facebook group. We're always happy to help in there.